Welcome to the State of the Town 2021. This is the first time the Niagara-on-the-Lake Chamber of Commerce has hosted a State of the Town, and we hope this will be the first of an essential event every year. Lord Mayor, Madam CAO, welcome. Here in Niagara-on-the-Lake, we work and live on the traditional lands of the Mississauga, Haudenosaunee, and Neutral Nation, and thanks them for their ongoing stewardship of this place over millennia. Our members have been dealing with a situation beyond what any of us could have imagined, from cancellation ordeals and finding ways for keeping a distressed business viable, to employee issues and ways to navigate a business world that was and is changing at the speed of light. The Niagara-on-the-Lake business community is coping with the new reality. We will get through, and we will continue to be one of Canada's premier destinations. Our offices closed March 13, 2020, and our external marketing and events went silent. The Chamber of Commerce team stepped up and start producing 3 newsletters a week to bring COVID-19 information and business resources to its members and the community as soon as it was available. No member was dropped from the website, and all resources, including the recovery guide and recovery plan, were made available free online. All this would have not been possible without the support of our board of directors. Thank you very much. But enough of the chamber. Before introducing our first guest, the Lord Mayor Betty Disero, I want to thank the sponsors of this event: Niagara Holiday Rentals, Richard Andrews Corporate Law, Penn Financial Credit Union, Ravine Vineyards, the Niagara-on-the-Lake Bed and Breakfast Association. Thanks to John Petrella at Da Vinci Cinema for his continued support and beautiful work, and of course to Nicole Cripps and Drew Comerford for putting together this event. Betty Disero is the Lord Mayor of the Town of Niagara-on-the-Lake's Council for the 2018-2022 term. She's a member of the Rotary Club, sits on the Niagara Parks Commission Board of Directors, and is a member of the Niagara Region Council. Previously, she was a council member at Niagara-on-the-Lake during 2014-2018 term, and was a City of Toronto Council member from 1985 to 2003. We all faced challenges in this past year, but if there is anyone in town who has seen challenges piling up on the doorstep, it's the Lord Mayor. We don't always agree, and it's logical. We have different mandates, but your leadership, Lord Mayor, is critical in guiding Niagara-on-the-Lake to thrive again. Lord Mayor, the floor is yours.
Hello, Niagara-on-the-Lake. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the Chamber for inviting both of us to speak with you this evening. From the beginning, during the election, at the inaugural address, and as a guide to our work plan, I placed everything into 3 bundles. The 3 bundles are: first, creating a path for the future, a vision for Niagara-on-the-Lake. Second, finishing unfinished business, completing the discussion of many issues left behind from previous councils. And third, creating a path to a sustainable budget. These 3 bundles are fundamental work of a council within a municipal corporation. These are also essential to community building. It is very important for residents, businesses, and the development community understand how the town is to develop over the next decade. It helps staff have a better understanding of the infrastructure that is needed to be built, and the staff can better determine the resources needed over the next decade to reach these goals. And by the way, infrastructure is no longer just roads and sewers. It's supporting those amenities that improve the quality of life for residents, but it also draws business and jobs to an area. And the reason we need business and jobs is because they assist greatly in the payment of those services that provide a quality of life. So let me go through these 3 bundles to focus our discussion this evening. First, creating a vision. When we started just over 2 years ago, single lots were being converted to repetitive cookie cutter housing, Cannabis companies were lining up in the agricultural areas, waiting for the interim control bylaw to expire. And some of our woodlots in places like Virgil, St. David's, and the Old Town were being clear-cut to make room for, again, repetitive cookie-cutter housing. The public was demanding a pause to reevaluate. We were told over and over again, development was moving too quickly, and there was no vision for the town of Niagara-on-the-Lake. We heard it during the election, at all candidates' meetings, from residents individually at the doors, and collectively from coffee meetings that were held. We were told constantly we were losing our unique individual style of design. So immediately into the term, Council approved two things: a tree protection bylaw for private property and in the urban areas, and a pause on development in the Old Town. Council worked with many members of the community to start building a town vision for the future. We've approved an economic development framework, December 2019, that recommended stimulating economic prosperity with purposeful and intentional community growth. Council also approved the community wellness recommendations in January of 2020, recommending an inclusive, integrated, healthy town with mobility choices and a well-planned built environment. These reports and recommendations complement our strategic plan approved in February of 2020, with objectives to find innovative ways to protect our heritage, our agriculture, and other assets that ensure our community remains distinctive and sustainable, to deliver smart and balanced growth, and to create a culture for customer service excellence with community input and having a positive workplace. These plans, along with our tourism, transportation, and irrigation master plans to be completed this year, will guide the work of the administration going forward, led by our new Chief Administrative Officer, Ms. Marnie Cluckie, and we're pleased to have her with us in Niagara-on-the-Lake. When you look at the backbone of these plans, you will see they are evident in some of the decisions Council has taken. When Council determined the committees that were essential to assist our work with this term, we created committees associated to areas of improvement. For example, the Wellness Committee and the Inclusivity Committee, both working on the creation of a healthy community that welcomes and embraces everyone. The on-demand transit system pilot now implemented to assist our citizens who live and work in certain areas of Niagara-on-the-Lake. The support of the community church construction on York Road that also contain a daycare center and a community center in the Glendale area, all being paid for by nonprofit and private donations. The approval of the Niagara Nursery School expansion to assist with the growing number of young families in our community, a major pillar to assist with economic development. Approval of the Tapestry Project on Hunter Road, an independent living community that inspires active aging. Council supported also the Pathstone Mental Health Pilot Project to assist our youth. Parks improvements in Niagara-on-the-Green, Cannery Park, the additional tennis court in Old Town, an opening of the new pickleball courts, and the Virgil Skateboard Park designed to promote intergenerational movement. We approved a budget for street enhancements in Glendale when the new diverging diamond is built. This contribution will allow the creation of a gateway that will finally join both sides of the highway in a proper, more prominent way, bringing all of Niagara-on-the-Lake together. With respect to land use, Council took some bold steps that will allow for creative development while maintaining the look and built form of our unique community. As you know, our new official plan is still working its way through the region, particularly concerning the environmental mapping in the rural area. But in the meantime, we've amended our existing official plan to require compatible development in older established areas of Old Town and Virgil. We've adopted the Glendale District Plan. This plan will have growth potential for Niagara-on-the-Lake, creating thousands of employment and housing opportunities. We've approved some new commercial areas in St. David's and support the Village Project at Garrison. We've placed the heritage buildings in St. David's Center on the town's heritage list to allow for growth, but protect our past. We've approved new mixed housing stock within the municipality. So I'll say it one more time. the approvals by council will help put in place the infrastructure and means for development, while also putting in place protections to preserve what is important to our community. The second bundle, finishing unfinished business. Again, this was a way to finalize some of the discussion that was started by previous councils. In order to do this, council looked at the issues that were left behind to be completed or through our discussions with the electorate. As I mentioned, one of the first things council did was establish a tree bylaw. While I admit the bylaw remains somewhat cumbersome, it's being adjusted to better serve the community. And our struggle has been, how do we protect without being severe or restrictive as it is in some other municipalities? For me now, it's become more about replacement rather than restriction. This year, council adopted a bylaw, demolition by neglect, to protect designated properties from decay, and will be used as a tool to stop the intentional deteriorating of our heritage properties. Council also completed the cannabis zoning bylaw. This bylaw is currently under appeal at LPAT, so it's improper for me to comment on this. I can tell you though, every decision that council made is making decisions for the best interest of our town now and for our future. Council also decided to wait on allowing cannabis stores in Niagara-on-the-Lake. We wanted to see what the impact was in other municipalities before jumping in. We chose to be cautious. To assist with ongoing parking issues, council entered into an agreement with Honk Mobile to better manage metered parking and work on innovative ways to provide a fair and equitable system for our residents, a system we feel will be more nimble in reacting to the concerns of the community. Council completed a review of our service delivery with Deloitte, thanks to funding we received from the provincial government at the beginning of the term. The new CAO and her staff reviewed the recommendations to improve efficiency while providing an even greater degree of service and transparency for our citizens. Their recommendations on steps moving forward were approved by council just this past Monday. The town, through the Heritage Trail Committee, completed the first phase of the Heritage Trail improvements from John to Charlotte Street. Major shoreline protection work was completed at Bolton Beach, and it will help ensure public access to water and stabilize the beach. After 20 years, council approved an enhancement streetscape budget for Niagara Stone Road. These improvements, expected to be done in 2022, will showcase the village of Virgil as a landmark in our town. With underground hydro lines, more trees, space for walking and bicycles, this area will be more pedestrian friendly and inviting. It will bring Virgil streetscape into the future while respecting our heritage in Virgil and celebrating those who came before us. There is still much work to do in discussion to take place with organizations like the Virgil Business Association in determining the final look. After reoccurring discussions since 1997, council split the Heritage Grant into two pots, residential and commercial. The residential pot remains the same renovation grant program as usual, but the commercial pot will support the Heritage Tax rebate for commercial renovations starting in 2022. Stay tuned, the details are to come. Last but not least, most recently, council made the decision to go and look at what could be done with our old hospital. A request for expressions of interest will be going out soon. Now, our third bundle, a sustainable budget. The sustainable budget still eludes us at this point. While the COVID-19 pandemic made it even harder to achieve that, council must start to look at what mechanisms to put in place today. As our economy recovers, we can achieve a sustainable budget going forward. Here's my biggest concern. We've had 3 reports come forward to council that talk about the resources needed to maintain town assets. To restore our existing facilities is $1 million a year. Roads repair and restoration work is $4.9 million a year, and bridges and culverts is $600,000. Currently, we spend about $2 million on everything, making the annual shortfall in the range of $4 to $4.5 million. While I don't believe that we will be able to get to that gold standard of $6.5 million in the near future, we will need a percentage of that though, or things will start to crumble. I've received many calls about conditions of roads, and the majority of times, all we can do is fill potholes. Council will need to make tough decisions, even if they are not popular. Our goal is to create a sustainable framework or model that includes new revenue, cost efficiencies, and better prioritizing of our objectives to take us through the next decade, without having major tax increases to our residents and businesses year after year. Council must be cognizant that we only have one more budget year left to start this. We need to, at least when we finish this term, have a plan in place on how we are going to get there. Throughout the pandemic, our staff have done an incredible job to keep our citizens safe and healthy without a major deficit. But one of the challenges was the loss in parking revenue that the town has come to rely on far too heavily. I believe this shows us again the importance of building up reserves. We've had to take and not do some of our yearly activities because we did not have the money. I want to take some time to focus a little bit on the business community. Council has worked together with the business community during this pandemic to assist in any way we could. As all other municipalities did, we waived whatever fees and interest we could at the beginning of the pandemic. We waived any requirement for approvals for patios. We opened the ability for A-frame signs. We started a program for volunteers to assist picking up groceries for those who could not get out because of their vulnerability to the virus, and created the Niagara-on-the-Lake business directory for ease of the consumer. And it also allows the ability for staff to reach the business community more readily with valuable information. We explored different variations of closing Queen Street to provide more space for people to walk. This particular exercise actually brought forward the question we have on the broader issue of what is our future for tourism? Because if we include the wine industry, restaurants, the outlet mall, retail stores, and all our rich cultural organizations, both large and small, tourism is our largest economic driver for Niagara-on-the-Lake. So let's dive down a little closer on tourism for a moment. And of course, I like categories. There are two categories. Again, vision and infrastructure. The vision. Council approved conducting a tourism study and strategy that will leave no one behind. It begs the question though, what is our brand? Think about it for a minute. What is our brand? How do you describe Niagara-on-the-Lake? I have an idea in my mind: heritage, both built in natural, wineries, vineyards, culture, leisure, fun, beauty, celebration. But how do we put it all together in one package while leaving no one behind? We have to consider our 5 urban areas, the rural areas, wineries, all of our cultural venues and organizations, retail, restaurants, accommodation, and residents in creating that vision. I encourage everyone to take part, if they can, in that study. The second category is to start the discussion on infrastructure that will be required to refresh our town moving forward into the future. As we know, Niagara-on-the-Lake is a mature visitor destination. Many people have come here year after year, and for many years. And we may decide that we need no new infrastructure, but just keep filling potholes. But that's not me. I don't want to leave you with the impression that all we need to do is continue to fix potholes. As I mentioned earlier, Council has approved the enhancements to the Glendale crossover that will welcome people to our town, and to Virgil, making it a pedestrian-friendly place for people who want to spend time and not just drive through. Tomorrow, the region is starting a public input session on the intersection of St. David's Village Center. So what's left? Well, if we put bike lanes on certain routes in the rural areas aside for a moment, what's left is Queen Street. Queen Street also needs to be redone. Let's start with Queen. Let me give you one small example we learned about Queen Street because of the pandemic. We've decided, I believe, as out in the community, that some patios on Queen are a good thing. But the patios we have now hang out in the street with barricades and concrete barriers to protect them. I don't think that's the long-term look we want for the Heritage District. As well, we learned that on sunny days, regardless of the street being closed, people congregated on sidewalks or at the edge of the road where the trees provided shade. So with these observations, should we not be looking at expanding the sidewalk space, planting a few more trees, and allowing patios to extend onto a wider sidewalk? By narrowing the street, it makes the street feel more intimate, yet still accommodate the same number of parking spots. How beautiful would that look? Well, it takes a discussion with merchants, the chamber, the surrounding residents, the Municipal Heritage Committee, town staff, and it will take an investment of money. So while Virgil and Glendale are moving forward within the next couple of years and the region is looking at St. David's, I'm thinking at some point we should have this discussion regarding Queen Street. And while we're discussing Queen Street, we should probably try to figure out perfect balance of public toilet facilities and their locations for our tourists. And as usual, one thing that continues to elude us, generally be the biggest challenge, is how we're going to pay for it. And just to complete the thought I mentioned earlier, I'm told there is anywhere between 2,000 to 5,000 bicycles traveling in Niagara-on-the-Lake on any given rideable weekend. Our traditional rural roads become heavily trafficked cycling areas on some weekends. And I'm hopeful that at some point we can determine those routes and put bicycle paths in places for our tourists and residents. Just before we move on to what we might expect during the rest of the term, I just want to say Council could not have achieved all of this without the dialogue with the community. Even though at times it was very messy, it was valuable. I never regret having a respectful conversation or debate with anyone on positions or opinions. It makes for better decisions. It helps us learn about things we may have overlooked. I also want to recognize the support and commitment from our staff, our senior management team, and emergency control group, many of whom are the same people, worked not only with Council on our priorities, they did their own day-to-day work and continue to help us and the town with the COVID pandemic. 2020 and now 2021 have been very difficult times, and I want to thank our citizens for their vigilance. We've worked together to make our way through this pandemic. It's been very tough on our businesses, and we continue to ask that residents shop local to keep everyone afloat. Restaurants, wineries, retailers, and our cultural groups all continue to need our help and support. The best way to show that is with purchases, or in some cases, donations. Please, everyone, buy local. Enjoy and experience our town in a safe way. So now let's look forward to the upcoming year. Here are some items on my own to-do list. First, we must continue to support Pleasant Manor with their proposed expansion and get that shovel in the ground for long-term care facilities to support our aging population. Second, I was pleased to hear that we have a resolution on the new medical center. Our doctors need a home in Niagara-on-the-Lake. It is not as big as we would have liked, but I believe the doctors will be comfortable, and the town must do whatever they can to help get the shovel in the ground on that project as well. And at this point, I don't want to leave behind the owner of the lands next to Crossroads School, who went to a lot of expense and time to propose an option for the doctors. I'm grateful that he stepped up, and I'm hopeful that he will be able to continue in some way or fashion with his property. We must ask the town's historian to reaffirm and establish a complete list of properties to be listed to safeguard our heritage properties. It's better to do it in advance than try to resolve it through a building application. Again, this will identify what is important to be preserved. We must complete our review of the short-term rental bylaw and come up with a number of protections for our neighborhoods, but workable for the industry. There will continue to be back and forth on this for a little bit, but we'll get there. And if necessary, adjustments will need to be made along the way. We need to advocate for rural education model for high school so our youth are not bussed out every day to learn. These young learners will be our next leaders, but only if they choose to stay here. By bussing them out, they will lose the connection to this town, and they will start to look elsewhere to begin their careers. And if it's not possible to have a high school here of some kind, how do we keep them connected to our town is the next big challenge. I just want to point out and thank Jim Collard for his ongoing work at the Ontario School Alliance on our behalf. We need to provide incentives like development charges, deferral programs for two of our priorities. One, industrial development, because they are also an important part of our economy and job creation. We're finding new, young, not so young entrepreneurs are starting up small business, manufacturing business that needs space. And second of all, development charge deferrals for diversified housing project. So that way we can offer housing stock for everybody. And seven, if shown to be successful, we need to look at expanding the on-demand transit system to all our urban areas in Niagara-on-the-Lake so everyone, urban and rural, has access to transportation. I'm sure I've missed something, and I'm sure there are other issues that staff or the public want addressed. Council will continue to move forward, working with the community to meet the objectives of our town. I want to close by thanking everyone who worked with the town on committees, in public outreach sessions, and made delegations that assisted council through their deliberations. The information, opinions, and comments and discussion with you make us all stronger. Thank you, Eduardo. I'm pleased to have been given this opportunity, and I look forward to giving everyone an update next year at the Chamber's second annual State of the Town. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and don't forget, stay safe, wear a mask, keep your distance, wash your hands, and go get vaccinated. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. As I said before, your leadership is crucial and it's critical, guiding Niagara-on-the-Lake to thrive again. Thank you so much for your comments. I have to say that at the end of the day, we absolutely agree. Creating these three values, financial value, social cultural value, and environmental value, is what will make us great. And any strategy that we have to create, if we can create those values, it's fantastic. Thank you so much for your comments, and I'm sure that all the people that are listening to us, it's very pleased to what they have here tonight. I have to just a little housekeeping comment. We are seeing right now a lot of questions pouring in. We are going to in the last part of this event, we're going to give precedence to the questions that were submitted ahead of time. But we will forward to the Lord Mayor and Marnie all the questions, so they will be able to answer them. So right now, it is my pleasure to introduce Madame CAO Marnie Cluckie. Marnie brings over 10 years of experience working in a variety of senior level roles in workplaces such as Halton Region and Halton Community Housing Corporation, Niagara Region, and City of Hamilton, with her education and training in business administration, leadership, organizational development, architecture, and environmental science, and her skill in financial management, operational planning, and community relations. Marnie brings extensive knowledge and experience to the role of Chief Administrative Officer of the town. Marnie, over to you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm just going to share my screen. And can you see it okay, Eduardo?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. I am delighted to be here, so thank you so much for having me, and thank you to the Lord Mayor for inviting me as well. I'm going to talk today, I'm going to give a brief overview of where we're headed. I'm going to talk about our vision, mission, strategy, and goals, a little bit about my work plan, the challenges that we've been faced with, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, opportunities moving forward, and what lies ahead. So I've been here now for 3 months, And I can tell you that I really feel that Niagara-on-the-Lake is a very special place. And the longer I've worked here, the more I have thought of that. It has such a strong identity. With the three foundational pillars of heritage, distinct beauty, and agriculture, it's a town that's very committed to preserving its unique local flavor and building on its strong foundation while creating a very high quality of community life. While it's grounded in its strong history, it's also committed to being innovative and forward thinking, to dreaming big, and to ensuring that there's economic prosperity now and into the future. Its mission is to provide outstanding support, friendly assistance, and effectively delivered services to the residents and businesses throughout Niagara-on-the-Lake. And as you're probably aware, Council established 5 strategy pillars to help guide it. The Lord Mayor spoke of it earlier, but I'll just point them out again. It's protecting distinctive community assets, delivering smart, balanced growth, creating a culture of customer service excellence, excelling in a positive workplace, and strengthening two-way communications. My role as CAO is to be a bridge between the council members and the Lord Mayor and staff, and to make the vision a reality. So what the Lord Mayor described is the vision that the council members and she have determined for the community through community engagement and input, and my role is to deliver on that. So I'm going to turn it a little bit more inward for a few moments and talk about the things we're doing at the town to make that vision a reality. So as I mentioned, I've been here for 3 months, and I charted the course for the organization and for myself for the next 12 months. So to just give you a broad overview, in the first 3 months, my plan was largely to listen and to learn. So to meet with the Lord Mayor and council members, with the senior management team, and with our strategic partners. It was to meet with the community and committees, and then use that input to develop a bit of a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats assessment, so we could figure out what we're doing really well as a town and what we can improve upon. In my first 3 months, I was also planning on setting priorities, so clarifying that vision, establishing what we need to focus on, and developing our strategic implementation plan based on the pillars that the Lord Mayor spoke of and I spoke of in the last slide. Also to deliver on some of the priorities that are underway. In the 6-month period, you'll see me enlisting the whole term and the whole team of the town, and ensuring that there's alignment at each and every level, that we're aligning the budget and resources, establishing our accountabilities, setting our targets, and measuring that. And removing the barriers to our success so that we make sure we're building a high-performing team, enhancing our systems, and training our staff so they have the skills to support the organization and the community at large. And then between the 6 months and 1 year, it's really to accelerate the strategic plan and accomplish many of those tasks that the Lord Mayor identified. So some of them being the tourism strategy, the asset plan, finding ways to protect our heritage, and enhancing our technology. And then my goal is also to measure those results and ensure that we have customer satisfaction at every step. And you'll see that this is what I have attempted to achieve in the first 3 months, and what I have actually achieved. So focusing on listening and learning, gathering that organizational data, setting the priorities, identifying the quick wins, and delivering on those, holding prioritization workshops, and taking action on the high priority items. This year, as I'm sure you are all acutely aware, has been such a challenging year, a year like no other. In 2020, the priority quickly became responding to COVID-19 while still continuing to provide essential services. And while I wasn't here long in 2020, I was amazed at what an excellent job staff did then and continue to do, and how engaged the community was, and how they band together to not only respond to COVID-19, but to support one another in the community. This year, we will continue to respond to COVID-19, but we will also be dedicated to advancing the actions that we mentioned earlier, and advancing the town. So again, I said that I was focused on the internal and how we might build our skill sets and identify our strengths and weaknesses and threats and opportunities. So from an internal perspective, some of our strengths are that we have a very dedicated, committed, and engaged staff that demonstrate extremely strong teamwork and camaraderie and have very strong bench strength. So while we have a small workforce, they are mighty and they join together and they are cross-trained and people can jump in and help one another out as needed. That allows us to be very agile and flexible and able to respond quickly. So in events like the pandemic, can really band together and achieve things quickly. We also have a very engaged council and very engaged committee members, business community, and residents who are all willing to pitch in and give their ideas and volunteer. And it's really like no other town I've ever seen in terms of how much involvement and strength the community brings to the organization. Very strong partnerships. Some of the areas where the town as an organization are lacking is we're still lacking in processes, systems, and feedback loops to provide to our customers, the businesses and residents and visitors to the town. There's a lack of modern technology and still a lack of resources, both people and financial. We have minimal depth and structure because we don't have a very robust staffing model. We don't have a large team, though they're very committed and very strong. And right now, there's a lack of integration in people, processes, and technology, and a number of committees that overlap. The threat resulting from that is it can lead to sometimes being inefficient. We sometimes have underfunded programs or staff burnout. It can be difficult to recruit and retain in this organization. And sometimes we have duplication and inconsistencies. And sometimes we're not meeting customer needs and expectations in the way we want to deliver to the community. With this, though, comes so many opportunities. Opportunities to enhance our communication, modernize and enhance our service so we're much more customer-centric, and to balance the needs of residents and businesses. They're sometimes competing, but there is a way to create it so it's win-win for both. We have an opportunity to improve our efficiencies and our productivity through process improvements, technology improvements, people and structural changes, and to streamline our committee's involvement so that we can get the most out of those committees. There are so many opportunities afforded to us here at the town, and I'm going to speak a few of them. So through the input I got through the various surveys, through meeting with council members and community, there have been several themes that have emerged. And from an internal organizational perspective, some of those are that we need to enhance our collaboration and communication. We need to be focused on customer service and focused on continuous improvement, which for me means creating a customer-centric culture where every decision is about the community. So we're not creating processes and systems that best support staff, but rather we're looking outward and figuring out a way that we can best engage our external customers and deliver to them what they need, ways to eliminate red tape and make things easier. It's about creating a culture of excellence and focusing on partnering and balancing the needs of the many groups that are represented here in Niagara-on-the-Lake. And that leads me to what lies ahead. So what lies ahead in 2021 and what you can expect to see is we're going to continue to work together to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. We're going to be advancing the strategic plan. We're going to be following through on some key initiatives, facilitating a customer-centric organization where customers are at the heart of every decision we make, and then building on our strong foundation and unique Niagara-on-the-Lake identity. So first, recovering from COVID-19. We continue to try and support the community in the best way that we can by reinstating the ambassador program in parks, which will be coming, by taking safety measures, disinfection and screening, by trying to find ways to make things easier for people, like allowing for patios outdoors, where appropriate, by helping with the short-term rental community to make things easier. And we have a ways to go, but every decision we make is founded first and foremost on keeping the community safe, and then helping to support economic prosperity and helping to support the well-being of our citizens. What lies ahead is also delivering on the strategic plan. And the Lord Mayor went through in great detail and did an excellent job. So I'll just highlight a few things. We're going to continue to protect our heritage assets. We're going to be looking at closing the gap on our capital investments. We're going to be defining what customer service excellence means through consultation with the public and how we can deliver on that, providing appropriate staff training, and implementing the recommendations of the service delivery review that was done by Deloitte. We're going to be working on a climate change adaptation plan with Niagara Adapts. And as the Lord Mayor said, the official plan is making its way through the region, but we'll be committed to helping in finalizing that. Strengthening communication delivery, and partnering and engaging residents and businesses. So here is just a sampling of some of the key initiatives that we'll be taking. For example, I'll be focused on the tourism strategy, helping to identify what that vision is through robust community engagement, making sure that we're working with various stakeholders focused on tourism management, marketing, and info delivery systems, focused on sustainability and how we can maximize economic value, and also participation, so how we can foster involvement of all stakeholders, looking at the infrastructure needs that are required. So that will be a core focus this year, especially in light of the pandemic. It's so important that we look at economic recovery and what that means to the community and how we as town staff can help to support that. We'll be doing the irrigation master plan that will be coming to council next month. The transportation master plan is also well underway, and that will be coming before year end. We've been looking at expanding the on-demand model, and that will be coming soon as well. We're focused on our asset management plan and working to find ways toward a sustainable budget. Other key initiatives are, you'll soon see the request for expression of interest go out for the former hospital site. Such a beautiful spot, a beautiful property that can really help enhance the character of the area. What lies ahead is also what I spoke about in terms of customer-centric organization. So we'll be implementing the service delivery review and modernizing services, engaging the community and integrating that feedback. And we'll also be conducting a lean review and enhancing our services. So finding where we've got pain points and how we can deliver better service by eliminating some waste in our processes, by eliminating some red tape wherever possible, and ensuring that there's a feedback loop at the end. One of the things I've heard from the community is while staff are dedicated, we're not always responding with the outcome of the work or the timelines in which we're going to undertake that work. So we're going to be focused on closing that loop and making sure there's ongoing two-way communication for various services. We'll be leveraging technology. So you'll see an update to our website. You'll see more e-commerce options. Right now, there aren't many things you can pay for by credit card in our systems, but we'll be looking to make that more robust, looking at application processes that are available more online. So while we're known for our distinct heritage culture, hopefully we'll also be known for our innovative and modernized service delivery. We'll be measuring results and customer service satisfaction. So you may have seen that we put out a customer service survey last week, trying to engage the community to find out what we're doing well, what we should do more of, what we should do less of, and where we can improve. And we'll be focused on a culture of continuous improvement, where we're constantly receiving feedback from the community and integrating that feedback into the way we do business. What lies ahead is also the preservation of the essence of Niagara-on-the-Lake, because it is a beautiful and unique community with a fantastic flavor. We want to make sure we preserve that while still looking for economic development opportunities. And lastly, what lies ahead is building a strong future together, where everyone gets to actively participate in decision-making, and we build on the solid foundation that we have in place with the heritage, agriculture, and distinct beauty. Thank you.
Thank you, Marnie. You actually mentioned a few words that sound like music to the business community, that eliminate red tape. It's absolutely sounds really like music, and that establishing that customer-centric culture, it's so important. And we thank you for your presentation. Thank you for your clarity. It's absolutely fantastic to see black and white, actually with colors, what you're doing, and I thank you really very much for all this information that you gave to us. We're going to go to questions. As I said before, we have asked the people when registering to submit the questions ahead, so we can actually start putting them together. And right now, we're still having questions coming in. So we're going to take first the ones that were submitted ahead of time, and if we have time, we will go to the ones that are still coming in right now. Nevertheless, if we can't answer them online right now, we're going to forward them to the Lord Mayor, to the CAO, and we can so they can address all the questions. So, Marnie, I think I'm going to start with you because this one looks like more for you. It says, when the bridge on Mewburn Road reopened, there were statements made regarding repairs that needed to be made to the road on the Niagara-on-the-Lake side of the bridge. It has always been a safety concern due to the narrow lanes and poor visibility. There is also an increased number of trucks and traffic traveling over the bridge in both directions. Are there plans in the budget to repair, expand Mewburn Road that extends to Concession 6 Road?
Thank you for the question, Eduardo. Yes, actually, we do have plans. So Concession 6 Road from York Road to the Mewburn Bridge, it was originally slated to be completed as one single project. Because of budget constraints, the work had to be phased into a couple of sections. So in 2021, you can expect work from Mewburn Bridge to just beyond the intersection of Warner Road to Niagara Falls border. And that work, there's about 1.6 million almost that will be invested in that. In 2022, there's also planned work, which includes York Road to Warner Road. Of course, this will be subject to budget deliberations and approval by council for the 2022 budget, but that's what's planned. So right now, it's with the Niagara Escarpment Commission, and they're reviewing the permit applications to complete the work. Once we have their approval, we'll hold a virtual open house, and then tender for the work will start in late May. We're hoping it will be done by end of summer.
It sounds great. Thank you, Marnie. And I think the next one is also for you. But this is a very different question. When will Niagara-on-the-Lake receive a dog park, and where would it be located?
Thank you. Yes, we don't currently have a dog park in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and a potential location hasn't yet been identified. But what I can tell you is that it is included to be reviewed as part of the recreational master plan. That recreational master plan is currently scheduled for 2022, pending budget approval, of course. But if approved, the dog park would be looked at through that master planning process, and we would engage the public in consultation at that time.
Thank you, Marnie. The next one, I think it's I think this one is it's the best suit for you. Is the town taking a proactive role in courting LGBTQ plus tourism, and if so, what are the measures?
Yes, absolutely. The short answer is yes. The CAO, myself, and other town staff have met with representatives of the LGBTQ community and wholeheartedly have supported some of their requests for making people aware of Niagara-on-the-Lake within their advertising that they're doing out to the community. So one of those conversations led to a partnership between the town and, as you know, the Chamber of Commerce to advertise Niagara-on-the-Lake in fun travel guides. That is a resource used by the LGBTQ community in 2020. Although the pandemic, even though we were advertising, there was very little opportunity, a little bit in the summer, I think, to come to Niagara-on-the-Lake and possibly a little in the fall. But we will continue to do that. We have been working with a couple of members within our community here in Niagara-on-the-Lake. And I have been asked quite often and do send letters of support during Pride Day and Pride weekend in Niagara region. So that's a start. If anybody can think of anything more that they feel we could be doing, happy to hear from you, as always.
Thank you, Lorimer. I have to add that the staff with the Chamber of Commerce has been certified by the LGBTQ plus Chamber of Commerce, and we are now applying all the protocols that we have shared with them. So yes, this is a very important market for Niagara-on-the-Lake, and we look forward to the partnership.
Great.
The next one is, I think, Marnie, this is for you. It's actually linked to the other one, but I think this is more on the operational side. Is the town following other municipalities in Canada and putting aside a percentage of procurements to certify diverse suppliers?
Good question. So the town does actually have platforms and technology that could help to facilitate this. Our current platform for procurements is bids and tenders, and that actually allows vendors to self-declare whether they are a certified diverse supplier. It provides a definition, and that certification may be requested as part of the procurement process. However, the town doesn't currently have any policies around diverse suppliers, nor do we put aside a percentage of procurements to certify diverse suppliers. I mentioned earlier, though, that we have some new efficiency measures that we're putting in place, and one of that is looking at enhanced procurement practices through updated policies and procurement documents. So shortly we'll be looking at that, and promotion of an inclusive approach to procurement is important. So I think that's something that we'll try to integrate. I don't know what that will look like yet, but it's certainly something that we'll work with when we update it, and something that we'll discuss with the Inclusivity Committee.
Thank you. Thank you, Marnie. The next question, it's a very large question. What stands out in Niagara-on-the-Lake during the year of the pandemic? Marnie, Betty, Marnie, would you like to start with this one, or Betty?
Yeah, you go ahead, Marnie. You start and I'll add to it. How's that?
That sounds great. For me, what stands out is just how united this community has been and how willing they've been to help and support one another. So everyone has been pitching in. So from offering to help friends and neighbors register for vaccine clinics recently, to participating in some of the events that we host, like the photo contest or the Halloween giveaway, postcard initiative, how people pitched in to highlight the hometown heroes and participate in videos to bring people's spirits up. I guess for me, it's just shown that it's such a resilient community and a committed community. So I've really appreciated that during this difficult time.
Lorimer?
Sorry, I had to unmute. So yeah, I agree with Marnie. To me, Niagara-on-the-Lake has been so strongly united during COVID-19. People were offering to volunteer for different things. We had a list together of volunteers that wanted to go and help shop for those people that were vulnerable. We had, the different organizations have been contacting us now to help and assist on the vaccine clinics. Like the Legion wanted to help with the parking, and the Rotary wanted to help, and palliative care, and Niagara-on-Lake Palliative Care wanted to come out and help to register people, and just the overwhelming open hearts that people in Niagara-on-the-Lake have. as well as their concern for each other. I know that when I go to any place like the post office or into a grocery store, every resident in Niagara-on-the-Lake that I meet up with shows how much they care. They're wearing a mask, they're keeping their distance, they're, ensuring that everyone is safe. And I think that unity has really struck hard for me, and the respect that people have for one another has really hit me in a very positive way during all of this, and I'm grateful for that.
Great answer to a great question, and I agree with you. It's even if the visitors were not there, even we were not alone, and it's the way the community support each other, and the members of the community support each other, and that was absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Lorimer. Well, the next one I think is for you first, because this is and having two women leader on the call today. This is the pandemic disproportionately impacted women across Canada. Is it similar in Niagara-on-the-Lake?
Yes. So I belong to a group that meets from time to time to discuss women's issues. It's all the women mayors across the province. And we talk about issues pertaining to women and how they're affected. So we did a bit of a comparison at the beginning of the pandemic. And when you look at the comparison from February 2020 to April 2020, we learned that in fact the Canadian labor force at that point was comprised of 61.2% women, and in February, but in April was only comprised of 55.5%. So you see there was a big effect on women in the workforce during the pandemic. And if you just look at those 2 months, and it continues on throughout the pandemic. So I don't think Niagara-on-the-Lake is any different in terms of that number, because we are very service sector oriented, and in the service sector is predominantly women, and women were very affected by the pandemic. So what we did, just to add to it a little bit, what we did was we wrote a letter to all of us, all the female mayors in the province, wrote a letter to the province and the federal government and asked that, first of all, one, they recognize that women were hardest hit during the pandemic, that two, they acknowledge that they should be accommodating or providing assistance to women, because what we see now, believe it or not, is a lot of women entrepreneurs starting up new businesses or expanding some businesses that they have. They are so innovative and so ambitious in terms of creating spaces and work for people that are, the women entrepreneurs are really going to be overtaking everything in the years to come. And what we asked for them was to treat the investment in women and their children in the National Early Learning and Childcare Strategy not as just a handout, but as an investment to the short-term national economic recovery, and then long-term to economic prosperity, because women, given the chance, will do wonders.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you very much, Lorimer. Marnie, would you like to add as another woman leader in Niagara-on-the-Lake? Would you like to add something to that?
Sure, thanks. Yeah, it has been really sad to see, because COVID-19 has unequally affected women. Women have tended to pick up more of the caregiving and domestic responsibilities. And then there's been increased vulnerability to violence in the household as well, because there's more isolation. So I don't have Niagara-on-the-Lake specific data, but I do have some data for Niagara region. And that's similar to what the Lord Mayor was saying about the national statistics. The full-time employment for women has decreased about 18 to 19% in January of 2021 compared to January of 2020. And 6.1% more women are not in the labor force at all since 2019. So it has had a big hit. but the Lord Mayor is right. Women are resilient. One thing that I think is really positive is that the government of Canada invested about $100 million in February of this year into a new program called Feminist Response and Recovery Fund. So that goal is to prevent the pandemic from rolling back progress or reversing the hard-won gains that women in Canada have had. So I think that's one positive, and I've been delighted by how women have pulled together during this difficult time, and also by the leadership that's been demonstrated. You see many global leaders during this have been females, and many in the public health workplace have been female leaders.
There is one thing I would like to say, Eduardo, before we move on, is when you look at Niagara-on-the-Lake Council, we have 4 out of 5 women on council. And when you add the CAO into that picture, it's 50-50.
well say. Okay, and I'm a witness of the leadership of women in Niagara-on-the-Lake. So absolutely, yes. Just a comment to everybody. Marnie is not hiding. Her camera is not working well. So it's not, we're hearing the voice, but not seeing the image. But it's not because we're hiding Marnie. It's just because her camera is not working very well. So the next question, and I think this one, Lord Mayor, it's directly to you. You mentioned in your presentation that the town has created a committee for inclusivity, diversity. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah, the committee, the inclusivity committee, aims to make Niagara-on-the-Lake an inclusive community and enabling all residents of all backgrounds, origin, religion, and lifestyles to participate as full and meaningful community members. Now, having said that, I will tell you that the inclusivity committee has been working very hard. We go to them as a council for advice. The motion that was passed at Monday's council meeting with respect to gender equity in committees that the council has was prepared with the help and assistance of the inclusivity committee. They've done a survey, as Marnie, as the CAO mentioned earlier this year, and we'll be getting some feedback and results from the inclusivity with respect to that. As well, I think they've had some discussions with our HR department, very preliminary, very informal at this point, on the hiring and human resource policies that we have within the corporation to see how we can make improvements there. So the inclusivity committee, I think, is going to play a very important role, not only with council, the town staff, but also within the community. We're finding that that there are concerns and issues that need to be taught, and some tolerance needs to be built up, and some just relationship building among different human beings collectively. And so I think they're going to continue with their sort of inward look at town hall, but then do some work outside it in the community as well. It's such a huge issue now in North America and around the world that we in our little town of Niagara-on-the-Lake, I think, can really be leaders in terms of what we do and how we act and how we treat one another. I'm hoping we will be anyway.
Yes, it's very, very important, and I thank you for creating that committee. It's so important that we saw during the pandemic and some reactions that were not what we should be. So it's and you can count on the support of the chamber and the whole business community because our visitors are very diverse, and we welcome everybody. So the next question, I think, Marnie, this is for you, and it's quite online with your presentation. The pandemic has pushed the Ontario government towards a lean methodology, and all of us to be more efficient. And it's very important that all of us to be more efficient. What is the town doing in this regard? Marnie?
Great question. Thank you, Eduardo. It's something I am very passionate about and something that maybe came through in my presentation earlier. So we are definitely seeking opportunities to be leaner, to be more efficient and effective. We received one-time funding from the province, and we're leveraging that, and that came forward at Committee of the Whole on March 15th and then at Council. But we're going to leverage that to help modernize and improve our service delivery. Hope to help reduce our future costs through investments and several different initiatives. It can be really tough for small municipalities like ours. We tend to have limited capacity to plan and to modernize and improve the ways that we provide service. So this financial support will really help us to find smarter and more efficient ways for us to provide service. So when we completed the service delivery review, and when I started, we went through a workshop to help prioritize those. And so we're going to be doing things in the area of process, technology, and people. Lean process reviews will be a key piece of that. So we're going to be finding ways to increase productivity, practices, and customer satisfaction. We're going to be making recommendations to streamline our processes, and we'll be doing a lot of process mapping to identify our pain points so we can eliminate waste in our processes. We're also going to be, once we find those process gaps, using technology to leverage that so that we run a leaner organization. So you'll see things like website updates, online forums, e-commerce options. We're using the funding to get new budgeting software so we can be more transparent in that way. And then I mentioned earlier as well some of that procurement and customer service enhancement piece. So the funding will be looking at that and figuring out how we can be leaner and have better feedback loops in those areas as well.
Thank you, Marnie. It's very good and very clear. And I say it makes us more efficient. That pandemic has made us much more efficient. So I think that everybody is going to welcome your passion for that lean methodology. The next one, well, it's also very online with what you were talking about. What is the town council projecting for this year and next year financial picture, and what COVID recovery related assumptions are these based on?
Thanks. Yeah, it has been quite a time of economic uncertainty across the globe because of the pandemic. So at this time, it's a little bit difficult to accurately paint a fulsome picture. But what I can tell you is that the town has taken a very conservative approach to managing the finances and impacts during what's really a very volatile time. So the town's approach for the 2021 budget has been to treat it as a maintenance year. That's what we've coined it. It's about maintaining the core services and delivering on commitments, staying prepared for economic uncertainty, but doing our best to minimize the impact to taxpayers. We've also been very actively involved in seeking out grants. And so that one-time funding, for example, allows us to make advancements during a very difficult economic time. So we're still making improvements. We were fortunate because we received support from the province through what's called the 2021 COVID-19 Recovery Funding Program. And so we got a total of $530,000 to help us offset some of our COVID pressures. 427,000 in one bundle and then 105,000 in another one called the Safe Restart. So we can use that for unanticipated costs. Things like when we need to staff up because we need to do additional screening, or when we need to bring staff in for the Parks Ambassador program. It helps us to be more agile in our response. There's been increased need for public awareness campaigns, education, there's been more enforcement. All of those activities come with incremental costs to protect the public and ensure that we're operating effectively. But it's been fortunate that we've had that extra funding source to help us with that.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Marnie. I wish we all have a crystal ball. I know how difficult it is, and we don't have the crystal ball, and things may change. I hope it will not change so much in the next few weeks. But they will go. I think that we will be able to reopen and have some more certainties. We have time for two more questions. One is in June 2020, the town staff brought forward a draft noise bylaw that generated a significant number of submissions from both residents and businesses alike. Ultimately, the draft was deemed to have many shortcomings, and it was sent back to staff for rework. While noise is a thorny issue, it has been addressed in other municipalities, and the question tonight is, when can we expect to see a new draft?
It's a good question. So the last open house, I believe, was held in July of 2020. And since that time, staff have been working on updating it. So it's anticipated that the staff report with that new draft will come forward in the summer of 2021.
Okay. We have one more question. I think it's this is an easy one that we have time to answer if you agree. The question is, what's happening with the official plan? And I think that both of you addressed this question already. But Lord Mayor Marnie, if you'd like to answer.
Yeah, let me just, Marnie, I'm just going to say one or two sentences, and then because you're working with the staff, you can let everybody know where the staff are at with what they're doing. When we approved our official plan, one of the big issues for us was the difference between the province and the region's idea of watersheds and environmental protection areas and buffer zones and things like that. And our own farming community, and quite rightly, said, look, some of these areas that you've identified as watersheds are actually man-made drainage ditches. So they should not be identified as a wetland or a natural habitat. So council agreed with the farming community in that regard, and so we changed the map. And I think that is the biggest issue with respect to differences in the official plan. The other question is what the provincial policy statements are coming out in terms of growth, but I'm going to let Marnie. And so while we work out that difference, that will take some time. But I know Marnie's been working, her and her staff have been working with the region to sort out any other issues that were brought forward.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. Yes, staff have been working diligently with the region, and regional staff have been working hard as well to resolve some of the conflicts and make sure that it comes into alignment. The timing isn't yet known, but one of the things is that the region itself is updating their plan, and we always need to be in alignment with the regional plan. So theirs will come first, and then we'll finalize ours.
Thank you, Marnie. We have, during our conversation, we have 10 more questions coming in. So it's impossible to answer and to ask them all tonight. We will forward the questions to the Lord Mayor and the CEO. I'm sure they will reach out for those of you that sent the question with answers. But we need we have some time to fill. And please stay. We have something before our farewell. Nicole, our presenter, is going to switch and put something on the screen for all of us.
Niagara-on-the-Lake is poised to persevere extremely well because we have a unique destination. We have an outdoor heritage district, which makes customers feel comfortable. We can adapt and pivot like no other.
I think we're very fortunate to be involved in such a great community here in Niagara-on-the-Lake. And it was just those moments throughout, even some of our darkest days here at the winery, you see a local face come in just with a smile to buy a bottle of Chardonnay. So it's something that I know we never take for granted. We're so fortunate to be a part of this great community.
One of the beautiful things is, particularly last summer, we actually saw a really great different demographic coming to Niagara-on-the-Lake because of the pandemic. We got a lot of younger people, more diverse people coming from the GTA, and it's a tremendous opportunity for us as we come out of the pandemic to continue to reattract that demographic in addition to our more touristy demographic that we got pre-pandemic. Niagara-on-the-Lake, we will get through this.
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 Niagara-on-the-Lake, we will get through this. We will.
Niagara-on-the-Lake, we will get through this.
This concludes our first State of the Town 2021. Thank you very much to all of you that attended, to all that submitted questions, and thank you very much to the Lord Mayor, Petit Disero, and to the Madame CAO, Marnie Cluckie. Thank you very much for your participation. See you next year, and hopefully, we'll do this over breakfast or dinner. Thank you so much. Good evening.